Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome back to Parkitect, where we're here in sandbox mode working on Bayport Pleasure Beach. If you didn't see the first one, or if you want a bit of a recap, this is a Blackpool-inspired Pleasure Beach, not a remake of Blackpool or anything, but taking a lot of references from Blackpool, but then also other pleasure beaches from around the UK, Southport, Yarmouth, all those sort of places. Sort of budget parks that are built in very small spaces, and managed to pack quite a bit in, especially Blackpool. My goodness, they get a lot of stuff in the size of the park there, don't they? And it's more of an amusement park than a theme park, but we will have some light theming throughout the park, I think. As for the park itself, we just about start work on it today. Last episode we pretty much just did the seafront and some of the other sort of surrounding areas. We actually start working on the park today, but the first thing we're doing here is building a couple of buildings that lead up to the park entrance. These would probably be owned by the park, but you can come and use these without actually having to enter the park, if that makes sense. First one here is an ice cream parlour that's sort of done a little bit sort of Art Deco, but then also like a little bit 80s, I guess. Like Vaporwave, I suppose, would probably be the best way to describe it, really. Vaporwave, that's aesthetic, as far as the colour scenes, colour theme even is going, excuse me. I'm in a really weird situation that I made this, played this and recorded this about a month ago, and I'm recording this. I'm recording the voiceover the day before this will come out. But this was one of my attempts to try and get some content ready for the move, you see. So I've actually got about 4 or 5 episodes of this already done, which means I'm not being able to take much feedback off the first couple of episodes, but I know a few of you did point out that the yellow lines, or meant to be yellow lines, on the road are actually more of a green. Again, a lot of you realise that's due to my colour blindness. I'll fix that. I'll get that sorted next time I get into the game, but unfortunately for these first few, it doesn't get sorted. A little ice cream cone there with some R shapes. That's good fun, isn't it? And yeah, really quite happy with how this building turned out. On the other side as well, actually. I looked. I didn't use a specific building for reference here, but I just sort of took the whole idea of that seafront style build from places like Blackpool and just kind of went with them. They use a lot of like pastel colours, like mint greens, a lot of sort of like pastely pinks and things like that. I think it might well be because the paint, and I mentioned this I think in the first episode, the paint on these buildings can be absolutely torn up by the sea air, basically, or the sand and the salt in the air just tears any paintwork to shreds. And I wonder if that maybe these pastel colours can kind of get away with a little bit more wear and tear, perhaps. I'm not too sure. This building on the other side then is going to be an arcade, a video game arcade and penny arcade. It's actually loosely based on a building in Blackpool, which is called Coral Island, which is actually right up the other end of the town from the Pleasure Beach. It's nowhere near in real life, but it's a really quite well themed arcade that's themed around sort of pirates. They've got a really great entrance with a big skull sitting on top of it, and then inside they've got sort of pirate ships and rigging and everything all over the place, and they have all sort of various arcade machines and dance mats and all that kind of stuff. And then they've also got a couple of rides in there as well. There's a little sort of like a people mover kind of ride, I guess, that goes around the top of the building, where I think has guns on it now. You know, one of these sort of shoot the lasers type things. But originally, I think it was just like a little track ride that takes you around. And they also have a ghost train as well that is as janky as you could probably imagine it would be. But I'm a great fan of the building. I love going and having a look around and having a couple of quid on the crappy games that they have, you know. I thought there was something I wanted to try and replicate here. Now, unfortunately, we can't do the huge skull on top, well, not very easily anyway. But there's some stuff in the game. I'm actually quite surprised there isn't a pirate theme in the game. I thought there was, but there isn't. There's a Wild West theme, and there's like a fairy tale theme, and between those there are a few pieces that kind of work with pirates. So obviously you've got the sort of rocks here You've got some palm trees, and then there's barrels, there's chests, and there's a cannon. And so I'm actually quite surprised. I thought there was a pirate theme in the game, but no, there isn't, at the moment at least. But there's enough stuff in there, and I should have known that, because my very, very, very first series of Parkitect, I'm talking like a couple of years ago now, before I'd even played Planet Coaster, I did kind of like a pirate area, so I should have known from that really. But yeah, for some reason, it didn't come to me. Didn't remember that it wasn't there. So but yeah, I think it works quite well. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Both of those buildings quite happy with how it turned out. This one I'm not 100% sure on, actually, so I'm looking for some feedback on this one, to be honest with you. The front of the park, I wanted to kind of have a mix of typical sort of British seaside architecture, so lots of sort of painted wood, whites and blues, that kind of thing. Very much sort of like the sort of tents that you used to be able to hire on the beach to get changed in, those sort of things. I don't know what you'd call them. So it was kind of the excuse me for yawning. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm having I'm suffering a little bit. I haven't suffered from insomnia for quite a while now, but I have in the past, and I am again now. And I think it's because of the move coming up. We've got a lot of things to sort out. Not that I'm not massively looking forward to it. It's just there's a hell of a lot of stuff to sort. So I have a little bit of insomnia, and Nicola's actually out tonight at in work. She's working a on the road ambulance shift, which she hasn't done for a while. She has to do them every now and again to keep her paramedic qualification up. So I'm home alone with the baby, flat out. So I don't sleep very well when she's not here, and also my mind's sort of reeling with things we have to sort. So I thought, well, I'll come and record the audio for this, which is why I'm yawning occasionally. Anyway, that was far too much information that you didn't need. Let's move back onto the building. Quite happy with the roof. I think the roof's pretty good, actually. I don't know what it is that I'm just not quite happy about. And I think maybe when I flesh out the area, it might sort of start to tie itself in a little bit and look a bit better. But yeah, the architecture I wanted to go for the entrance building was this sort of, I do like to be beside the seaside kind of seaside structures, but then also a little bit Bavarian. There's a big section at Blackpool that's sort of Bavarian fairy tale. It's quite a common theme, especially back in the day, when these sort of parks opened in the sort of 50s and 60s. Fairy tale was pretty much the only thing you could do for kids. If you wanted to have a kids area, it was nursery rhymes, really. It was kind of before TV was a big part of people's lives, and it was certainly before kids TV was a big part of people's lives. It was we were having kids TV programs in the 50s, obviously, but a lot of these parks were built sort of like even 20s and 30s, so it was sort of way before all those sort of IPs and stuff for kids. So pretty much all of the kids stuff would come from things like Humpty Dumpty and then older children's stories like Alice in Wonderland or something. There's actually a really, really janky Alice in Wonderland ride at Blackpool that's been there since the 30s or something, I think. So yeah, Bavarian kind of comes with that sort of fairy tale style, really, mostly because a lot of the fairy tales, at least here in the UK, come from like the Brothers Grimm. Who come from that kind of area of the world. I'm sort of showing my ignorance here a little bit because I couldn't tell you exactly, but that kind of style of story, Hansel and Gretel, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, all that kind of stuff. It's all very much sort of little wooden huts and that kind of building structure. But we don't start on that today. Next episode, I think we throw down a few sort of main street, although there isn't going to be a proper main street, but as you enter a park, pretty much exclusively they'll have maybe 1 or 2 rides, things like carousels, very early front rides, but mostly shops and restaurants and things like that to get yourself something to eat, and obviously like souvenirs on the way out as well. We'll start those in the next episode. The other thing I'm really doing in this episode then is to start boxing out some of the backstage buildings. Now, a lot of these are going to be developed as we go on, but I kind of wanted some of the structures to be in, just so I've got a rough idea of placement. These are pretty much exclusively for show. We've obviously got the delivery buildings already in place. I think what we probably will do though is have, in fact, yes, in the next episode I do put a depot in one of these, so they are a little bit useful. Here I'm using a Wild West pallet with sci-fi crates on, which works out pretty well. Don't get excited, I'm not building a coaster here. I just wanted a few pieces of coaster on the floor there. It's something I love doing. I've done it in Pinewood, I've done it in lots of parks, to be honest, in various forms. I just think it's a really neat way of Getting a bit of scenery. My goodness, I'm going to have a go into bed. Listening to my own voice is making me tired. I get a lot of people say that in videos. They say they watch me to help them fall asleep. I always take it as a compliment, but I'm not really sure it is. I'm actually working on a project with my wife that should hopefully go into production in the second part of the quarter 2 of this year, about sleep and insomnia. So that's something to look forward to. Anyway. I digress. That's pretty much it. A lot of these buildings were taken a little bit from $2.20's playthrough. We did some really great backstage stuff that I kind of took as inspiration here. I think they turned out really quite nice, didn't they? Anyway, there we go. So we've got the front entrance. Next episode, we actually do put a ride in, so hold on to your hats for that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like. It really helps out the channel. And if you're new here and you'd like to see lots more creative gaming for grown-ups, don't forget to click subscribe. Any thoughts, queries or suggestions, you can pop them down in the comments. Fancy chat, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at JohnTSparrow. If you'd like to join in with the Geekism community, you can do so over at our Geekism Discord server. You'll find the link for that in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.